comprehension, second graders is what we also got in the community.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of people, and I'd like to hear from you guys, are like school-based, which is interesting. So this question also came from someone who's teaching, second grade. Reading comprehension.
I always look at Shira when I go school-based, because you're the teacher, Shira.
Yeah, no, I love having people in the community who also work in schools, because it's like, yes, like we have a very diverse group, which is great.
So take it away.
Okay, so the question was teaching reading comprehension. So we very often get kids who can read fluently, they love letters, they love numbers, but very often struggle with answering questions about what they are reading. The first thing I would say before I even go into reading comprehension is, can they answer WH questions? So whether that's verbally or written, well, we would start verbally and with visuals. And I think we have a whole program for teaching WH questions. I mean, I know we do, but I think it's in the community. It's also part of our ebook. And that really breaks down the steps of teaching kids how to answer WH questions, starting from a what question to a who, where, when, why, and all of that. And so that's a huge foundational skill to work on before even giving a child a passage to read and answer questions. We also have a program for breaking down the steps of reading comprehension, where you start with a visual, with one sentence, and only a what question. So they'll read it, they'll read the sentence, there'll be a visual, and you ask them the what question, and then you kind of build from there. And then it's two sentences, then it's maybe without the visual, then it's where question. So it does take a while to bring a student through this comprehension system, but it's so beneficial because we see so often kids who go through the school system and go through the grades, and it kind of gets lost because they're so strong in reading, but they're not really understanding anything that they're reading. So those are two great strategies. You had another one?
Yeah, Kelly Wingate. I guess a couple things, just piggybacking off what Shira said first. And the first one was just the WH questions. So I've experienced this a lot, is that kids are reading and then their teachers say they've got no reading comprehension skills. And I always ask, is it because they don't understand what they're reading, or is it just that they don't understand the question? So, I've got kiddos who just can't understand or can't answer where versus who. Right? So, I might say, where are they? And they might say, Shira. They answer specifically differently. And that's where Shira comes in and says, teach the WH program, which is great. If they have WH questions, or if they're able to answer WH questions, where I find the reading comprehension, especially grade 2, grade 3 level breaks down, is with inferencing. So it's the, why do you think that? Or Billy went to the grocery store and then he came back and ate cereal. And then the question is, well, what did he buy at the grocery store? And, the kid's not able to inference, probably milk and or cereal. So, it's the stuff that's not written in the curriculum. So things that work with that, I've got one book that we use all the time. One of the books that we use is Reading Comprehension, but it's Kelly Wingate specifically. So she's got grade 1, 2, 3, 4. It works its way up. I love this. This book is broken down pretty well. It's super easy to start. And I mean, it's pretty cheap. It's pretty reasonable to buy. I don't think there's any samples that you can look inside. It's just got that. But anyways, look at it, it's great. The other one that we use a lot is inferencing stuff, is LinguaSystems. So if these kids are a little bit more advanced, so they're able to answer who, what, where, and specifically why, then looking at LinguaSystems, and they've got spotlights. So it's specifically, there's a spotlight on listening comprehension, and there's a spotlight on reading comprehension. This may be a little bit more advanced than grade 2 level, but something to look for in the future would be this reading comprehension. The other one that I would look at would be any of the inferencing stuff. So I think we've got it in our advanced language skills or advanced academic site on our workshop. And that would be any of those, it's the great ideas for teaching site. Do you like how I can't even think about it until I see it online? I'm very much prompted by visuals. So, going back to, the learner who's frustrated, probably frustrated because they may not be seeing certain visuals either. It's an author called Gilliam DeGaetano. I love her stuff. His stuff, I'm not sure. I love it though. And I obviously spelled it wrong. But anyways, there's a whole bunch of stuff. There's something called Introducing Inferences. Introducing Inference is one book, and there's a bunch of other books. There's things called Mastering Inference, etc. On our website, it talks about what books to introduce first and what have you, and then it gives you a link to this website. But things like this, and they've got to read this and fill it in. It starts like that, and then there's some sequencing stuff, and they have to guess what the missing picture is, but they have visuals, and and then it gets more advanced, and it's just questions like this, like why are the boy and girl doing this? What are they looking at, etc. So somebody who never goes out trick-or-treating wouldn't be able to answer this question, so I'd skip this. But if they are able to answer this question, great. Or somebody who lives in California and never sees snow, I would just skip this altogether. But if they do experience snow, then they should be able to look at the picture and answer these questions and make that inference. So sometimes just breaking it down like that and not specifically teaching reading comprehension in terms of like what happened in the story, but teaching the back end of it, like WH questions, like inferencing skills.
There's also this app called Comprehension Builder. So for any of you that are working virtually or remotely, and it goes through steps of like who, what, where. So like, what is the girl? Oh, who is holding the ball? And you have to kind of put the sentence together. And then so the girl, you kind of drag them, the girl is holding a ball. So it helps you build sentences and then eventually be able to answer questions about them. So that's a really nice app. There's also some apps by, it's called Inference Ace or Autism iHelp, and they're on WH questions. I know the Inferencing Ace one, I'm going to find out who makes it, because they have a whole bunch of good apps. It looks like this.
I like the Autism iHelp one too.
Oh. That's Inference Ace, and there's a whole bunch of different ones on different topics by the same company, and so those are just good practice on answering questions, reading things, putting sentences together in like maybe a more fun way.